Hello guys, this is Frosty and welcome to my channel. It's been a while since I posted my last video and I'm excited to post this new one. So so today we're going to be talking about something that's not directed towards the game I'm usually playing. I usually play Warframe. So today I'm just going to be talking about like the drama that's been going on around The Last of Us Part 2. So I always wanted to talk about it, just that I couldn't because some things were happening. So now that I have a chance, I'm going to talk about it and put my piece out there. So, The Last of Us is a franchise that I can understand that people are in love with. I never played the first game, only because I didn't have a PS3 or a PS4. So, I only watched not a playthrough, but like a game type movie thing in Gamers Little Playground, the channel. So when I watched the thing, I watched it as a movie, and I literally I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed Joel and Ellie and everything, especially like the characters, the ones that died. The guy with the brother who was bitten and then he had to kill himself. That the suicide, all the stuff like that's my favorite part of the game. At least for me, it was a movie. So let's just say that's my favorite part of the story of the game. So when I heard that they're releasing a part two, I was excited. I'm like, well, maybe by then I'm gonna have a station to play on, right? So when things like this start to happen, when it comes to the media that I'm interested in, where people are now saying that SJWs have attacked the system and all that, it's something that's really sad because the place that I come from a country where things like this is usually not an issue for us because, well, maybe since we're developing, we're kind of behind on the evolution of humanity. But this is something that we kind of overlook, to be honest. And I'm actually kind of glad that our world, at least the small world that we're in, when it comes to people, this corner of the world, we're actually free of that type of stuff because it doesn't bring anything new to the table and it doesn't really give any solutions to the problems that are already there, because the problems that those people are trying to fight out there, they're kind of the same problems that are here as well. But I think the way they are fighting it, the SJWs and the feminists, is the wrong way to go about it. So is it 3 weeks ago? I don't know, somewhat 3 weeks ago on the internet, I just saw that people were talking about how The Last of Us Part 2 leaked and all that. And I was so shocked. I'm like, what's going on, right? And when I looked at it, and people were just saying that it's all Neil Druckmann's fault and all that because, well, he's an SJW, he's a fan of Anita Sarkeesian. I didn't even know who she was, to be honest, before all of this. And then I do my research on Neil Druckmann, and then I saw the keynote where he spoke about the whole Last of Us first concept where people, like, the virus would only infect women and all that. He's now calling himself a misogynist person, so he wants to change and all that. So then with all that, I just then realized the type of person that he is. And he is the type of person who's trying to push an agenda. So without babbling for long, now it's a time for me to just talk about the stuff that I wanted to put out there, just to argue a few points on why this is wrong, and maybe we can come to an understanding, and maybe this could help. I know I'm just a channel that gets an average of 50 views, but at least according to this timeline of the video. So yeah, so the first point that I have is that these guys really forget why we play these video games. So for me, I'll use me as an example because I know me better than anyone. So when I play video games, I'm just there to enjoy the characters. I'm there to play as Kratos. I'm there to play as Death from Darksiders 2. I'm there to play as a Warframe Tenno in Warframe. So it's all about the fun. Like, to be honest, like if we look at Warframe, for example, the characters in there, you don't even get a hint of their sexuality. Like, do they like women? Do they like that? No one cares. Like, any of the characters, no one really cares because it's not important to the story of Warframe. It's not important to the overarching gameplay of the game. So when you start hearing people like Anita Sarkeesian making a big deal about who they want to sleep with, who they care about, like especially with the situation with Overwatch, where they really started putting out this thing like, hey, we want to know who this character wants to sleep with, when their gameplay is just about shooting at each other. If he's gay, is he gonna shoot harder? Like, I don't get it. So that type of thing in media doesn't really resonate well with me. And moving on to the next point, me saying this might sound like I'm transphobic or homophobic, right? When it comes to gay people and trans people and stuff like that. And I remember watching a video of a trans person who was saying that if you don't consider dating a trans person, you are being like transphobic and all that. And I would like to disagree with these things because I want to give you an example. I come from a country where our parents, especially my parents, my parents are Christian and they are borderline, like straight up Christian, and they really take things that come with morality serious, right? So then you would imagine people like that, according to Neil Druckmann and the Last of Us concept, where these Christians are just bad and all that. These people would basically be very, very, like, what word can I use? They'll be direct, straight up, and be like, no gay people, no trans people, that's bad, that's wicked, whatever words you want to use. But then when it comes to my dad, I usually watch movies with my dad, right? And he doesn't even care. Like, as long as the story is good, if the story is good, and them being gay adds something to the story, besides adding a message or something that you should love gay people or you should consider being gay yourself, something like that. He just enjoys the movie for what it is. If the character is gay and it adds something to the story, he's going to enjoy it. Same as with my mom. Even though I really doubt that she knows or he knows anything about trans people, because that's not something we talk about here in our country, but they don't care. As long as the movie is good, then that's fine. But then for the SJWs, that's not enough. So now, moving on to the next point, is that what do these people want? The SJWs and the feminists and whatever, these guys who are pushing these type of things that is actually being pushed in The Last of Us. What do they expect from what's going on with The Last of Us right now? Let's say if this never leaked and people bought the game and they played the game just like that, what expectations do you think they would be having with this thing? Well, for one thing, that they really want is that people to be like, yes, so the gaming industry has been bad this whole time. Why didn't they make a Doom girl instead of a Doom guy? Things like that. But again, going back to the first point, the reason why you're playing a game is not because Doom guy is gay or Doom guy should have been a woman or Doom guy should be a trans. No one cares about that stuff because it's not something that we really care about. It's not something that we're playing the game for. Just like, let's say, giving an example of The Last of Us. The Last of Us, like the first one, people usually play that game because of the fun gameplay and the story, to enjoy the story. They didn't go to the game explicitly saying that I want to feel some certain emotions. Just when they felt those emotions, accepted them, and enjoyed the game for what it is. But then if the game was trying to push something towards them, that's basically directing their immersion to a certain place, of which that doesn't work like that. I can't be directed to feel certain things, forced, like the game telling me every 10 minutes, now it's time for you to feel sad, now it's time for you to feel pity, now it's time for you to do this. If they outright say that, I'm not going to feel it because it's not immersive. So people just don't care that Doom guy is a dude. They don't. And it's the same reason why every guy I know who played Tomb Raider doesn't care that Lara Croft is a woman. No one cares, to be honest. So I don't know. I don't really know what these guys want. And I just think that these people just want to complain because they can see that these things that don't include forced messages, they succeed. And they usually succeed if the protagonist is a guy who is straight up masculine and all that. And then if the protagonist is a woman, if she's feminine, strong and all that, like properly feminine and then strong in the right ways, they just, I'm saying right according to how I perceive things, so don't take things the other way. But basically, yes, they just want to have a reason to be angry. Like, why is Lara Croft wearing such and such stuff? Or because, well, if she wants to wear that, yeah, there's some clothing that's not practical for what these people do in these games or in these movies. But no one cares. It's a game. It's fantasy. Like, if we're gonna restrict our games to be so realistic that a woman has to wear certain stuff to be in battle, like, who cares? Like, what's fun about that game? Especially the part where they're now making women not attractive in these games. Like, I saw the differences between the Dana model person who who they took the model from, and the Dana in the game, like she was like they reduced her attractiveness just so they can say that I don't even understand the message that they're trying to send. So they're trying to say that being attractive is a bad thing. Really? Okay, okay, all right. I got you. So then, evidence to back this up, evidence to back everything that I just said is that I don't know. I didn't really check when this tweet was made, but Anita Sarkeesian, the woman who influenced the development of the story in The Last of Us Part 2, she also wanted to play a part in the Cyberpunk 2077. And I think maybe she's just trying to do that because she knows that this game is a top seller before it came out. Like, it's not yet out, but it's already a top seller. And she wants to get a piece of that cake. She wants to make sure that if the game has these messages being pushed about gay people and all that, already her message will go to a lot of people. And I'm glad that it seems, there's a high chance, like a 90% chance, that Project Red, they don't even care about what she's trying to say. They're just ignoring her because they know that they don't need her help. They don't need her consulting. So them ignoring this, I honestly hope that these game makers and movie makers just ignore these people, because if The Last of Us just had made a proper story to follow up to Joel and Ellie's story, even if Joel, if even if I'm not gonna spoil, but even if certain people end up dying, but if it's done right, if it's not sending a message that trans people are better than white males, or gay women are better than straight women, if they don't just push such messages, people don't care. The story will just flow well. Just like, I want to give you an example. Joel murdered, like, okay, spoilers for the end of The Last of Us Part 1, but by now, if you're watching this, you probably know what happens at the end. So Joel kills these doctors, right, who were about to experiment on Ellie. That was a horrible thing he did. But then the reasons why he did it fit in the story, because Joel, for the rest of the game, along with you, the player, you've been getting closer and closer to Ellie, and you ended up killing this doctor because he's about to take away that one thing that you're close to. Tess is dead. Bill probably hates you for life. And who else is left? No one else is left. Like, Joe has no one else besides Tommy. And he cares about Ellie as much as he cared about Sarah. She basically replaced Sarah in that moment. So obviously he did what he did for the right reason, like for the reasons that are right for him. But what he did right? No. If this was real life, I would be pissed if that was my dad who was murdered by this man, and I'd actually go after him to kill him myself. Something like that if it's in the world like that. But then that's the right way of writing a story. Not to then say that I'm going to go kill him because he's a white male, because that's basically what they're saying behind like all this stuff that they're pushing, like all like trans and gay people. So I just hope that if this video finds you well, and hope that games will get better and not worse, as they have been going worse lately. So I'm glad that CD Projekt Red at least is one of the few developers that actually care about their games, like the big ones. We've got a lot of indie people who make great stuff, but CD Projekt Red for the AAA, these guys are doing very well. They're inspiring. So I hope they keep it up. And shame on you guys at NaughtyDog who pushed for this. That's all I gotta say. I'm out.